Hey everybody, welcome back to another Redstone Showcase video. Today we're going to be in the snapshots for 1.16 as they've added a couple of really awesome things that I've been experimenting with. I know I said I wasn't going to make a video on the snapshots. Well, I'm sorry, I lied. I couldn't resist after they added some more stuff. I had to get experimenting. But first, I wanted to show you guys that the sugarcane farm that I have created still does actually work in the snapshots at least. So hopefully, if we're lucky, it will continue to work once 1.16 is fully released. But as you can see, we push the buttons. And actually, let's go to sound and just turn the sound down for now, because the rest of the video is probably going to be quite loud. Especially this machine here. So we can come in, grab our sugarcane. You can see the sand is shaking all over again like it's supposed to. And if we fly around to the front here, we can see that basically every time the pistons push, it harvests sugarcane, producing sugarcane super duper quickly. Now, one thing I have noticed is that 1.16 does seem to be a little bit more laggy, so I do apologize for the lag while recording. Oh, and the lag is now breaking my machine. Fun. Oh, well, this does work when I was not recording. It was actually working perfectly fine. Although it might need some mild tweaking to the timings depending on how things end up in the final release of 1.16. Alrighty, so if we come up here to the top of the nether, I've created some farms and some things that I've been experimenting with. So the first thing I did was to get straight in with the piglins and the hoglins and to create a farm to try to farm them. So I came up with this little design here, which actually for farming hoglins works, but I discovered that piglins were not able to really survive this lava. But while I was building a bunch of these other farms, it created a lot of food. So creating hoglin farms is probably going to be the new source of food. And we can see some of the piglins got in there, which they do. If you haven't seen already, the piglins are scared of the soulfire torches and fire, stuff like that, and the hoglins are afraid of these warped fungi, which I think look pretty cool. So basically the way it works is they get scared, they try to run over, and then they fall through the lava, and then die in these hoppers, dropping all their loot in the bottom. Now, the other great thing about the hoglins dropping pork chops is if we kill them without cooking them, say like with wither roses, it means that we can use all of this pork that you see here for trading with villagers to get emeralds. So that'll be pretty useful. The second thing I came up with was a bit more complicated, but eventually kind of realized it wasn't going to work the way I wanted, was to try to scare the hoglins one direction while I scared the piglins the other direction, as well as luring the zombies with the turtle eggs, so that we could kill each set of mobs separately. And in theory, this does kind of work, but you can see sometimes the hoglins do get into the system, and it just overall wasn't a really clean system. I tried to have like a little flying machine sweeper to push all the piglins over, and then I developed a little bit of a system to drop the piglins golden nuggets, which they would take and then trade for the loot that they now do trade. But this was it's just not a really good design. It didn't work the way I was hoping to. So I took a break from that, and I created this machine here a couple days ago when the snapshot came out, which basically you can put a little bit of gold. Oops. Well, that happened. You put a little bit of gold up here, and we drop a piglin in. Oh, that's the hoglin. Better get him out of there. He's going to clog the system. Might as well grab our new netherite swords, which I did find kind of weird. They're all the way at the bottom here, which I feel like they should be organized up here at the top like all the rest of the stuff. Just a little minor detail that could be fixed in the final release of the game. I've also discovered a couple other glitches as well in this version while testing some stuff. As at one point I tried to use piglins, grab them in a minecart so that I could dump them down here, but piglins will not actually go in minecarts. So I don't know if that's an intended feature, as they do look like they almost try to dodge away from it when you put them near, and I might show that in a second. But as you can see, this machine drops them down. He grabs the gold nugget, dropping the loot, so he gave us some red mushrooms, and then the gold ingot is filtered out and up back into the dropper so that we didn't actually use any. And then, of course, what you could also do, too, is do this, and then you can use gold from a gold farm to pump it back into this system here. Now, this is kind of a glitch. I'm guessing they'll probably patch it so that you can't use this to use the gold to infinitely get all the great loot that the piglins can barter with you. But if it is patched, we can just farm gold and then pump the gold into this system, and the gold will get used up, getting us the new loot as well as we kill the piglins as well to get their loot as well. So then the next thing I was experimenting with was this farm here, which was going to be an attempt to make a better multi-purpose mob farm, but it eventually didn't work as well. But the goal was we'd spawn zombie pigmen, all of the mobs. We would attract them into the portal with eggs, but I was experimenting with stuff so the eggs are not here now. But all of the mobs would be attracted into the portals. They'd come out here. Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. There were eggs over here, and warp fungi and the soul fire to try to get them to come over here, and they'd fall down here. Now, the piglins, I was originally going to be giving them gold so that they would trade stuff, and because they're in overworld, they would then turn into zombie pigmen. Then I was going to create a little clock that would then open this, letting all of the piglins and the hoglins fall through into the killing chamber of doom. And already you can see one of the glitches. There are about a couple hundred minecarts in that hole. They should be entity cramming. But the zombie pigmen that are in the minecarts are not taking any damage. So that was one bug that I found. But as you can see, it gets the resources here, and I'm going to run away from that because that's pretty loud. But ultimately, this farm design kind of didn't work, as I realized that it is a little bit more complicated than necessary, and all can be done in the nether without having to use any funky mechanics. And, yeah, hoglins have a tendency to kind of glitch out into the world. So there's a few hoglins just spread about the area. Now, if we come back up to the top here, so this was this farm. This ultimately didn't really work very well, and is also too complicated. Then I also found out that we can get only zombie pigmen to spawn if we use magma blocks. So this will actually function just like a normal the old-fashioned gold farms. I only did 2 layers here in the interest of time, but you can see that only zombie pigmen are spawning. Now, I also experimented with some of the new weeping vines, I think they're called. Yes, weeping vines. So this was just a super quick little zero-tech farm that we can kickstart if we just do that. And so as you can see, every time the vine grows, it updates the state changes, updating the observer, going through the repeater and the observer to pulse the piston, popping out our vines every so often. So this was good. But then I took Ilmango's bamboo farm and I modified it so that it would work with the weeping vines. And this actually gets vines way faster than the hoppers can keep up with, so we'd need to create a better system for that. Probably do it in Overworld. But I was just thinking just a minute ago, you could also use this for bamboo. Just build the bamboo part on top, and you got weeping vines and bamboo using the same thing. So that could be a fun combo to do. But if we flick this switch, we can see that it starts zero-ticking the blocks. The weeping vines are growing and getting shot using the using the slime blocks and appearing in this chest. And so they're appearing quite quickly, and if we look at this hopper here, they already are starting to try to back up here, and they back up more over time. So that's really cool. We can now get lots of weeping vines. So I hope that they don't remove the zero tick. Um, and hopefully they don't remove the shaky sand either. But if they do, I understand why they did. Then I decided to have a little bit more fun with just making a hoglin only farm, as using jack-o'-lanterns to make sure the light level is super high, only the hoglins will spawn. So I created quite a big farm here, because I wanted to see just how fast we could kind of get our hoglin. So we got our warp or I keep wanting to call them warp mushroom, but the warp fungi up here on the soul sand. And now originally I had it up a block like that, which it probably doesn't really matter. But what I was trying to do was use slabs across the bottom, just on the edge here, since they could still walk through, so that their view of the fungi on this side would be obstructed, so they would just run over and into the lava. But they pathfinding kind of glitched out, so they do kind of do this thing on the edge where they kind of sit on the edge, but eventually they do move down and fall into the lava. And if we stand farther away, we can see them right there. They're already spawning, and so they spawn quite quickly, which is really awesome. So what I did for this one is I have them dropping through lava, but to kind of soften them up and falling. But I discovered that using wither roses at the bottom was probably going to be killing them faster, so that we can get the resources faster. And if we wanted to get uncooked pork so that we could trade with villagers, we could just remove this lava entirely. So one thing we could do is we don't need the lava up here. We just need to keep them burning long enough so that the wither roses kill them while they're on fire to get the cooked pork chops. So this farm is one of the newer ones, but it's already got quite a bit in there for how short it's been building, and I haven't been close enough to it for it to spawn. But you can see it spawns quite frequently, making pork probably the new best food that we can make now, as it's a food source that we can farm up pretty easily, actually. As even this little one, which I've been closer to a lot longer, seems to work pretty well. And possibly because it is only 5 blocks long and that one is 6, I think they actually do fall in a little faster as they are running back and forth. And so maybe by making this one block skinnier on each side, it would cause them to go pretty fast. But they still do run off the edge pretty quickly, giving us all of their precious food. Yeah, so what we could really easily do, if we wanted to be able to switch this farm from cooked to non-cooked pork, is we could just have a couple of dispensers, and really, we only really need them every 8 or so blocks, so for this size of a farm, we only really need a few to be able to dispense enough lava to kill all of them efficiently with the lava. But this farm definitely could use a little fixing. After the fact, I was thinking it would be better as if have them drop a little bit, and then we'd have platforms kind of like this, where they would kind of run off the edge, kind of as a funneling effect to kind of funnel them down into the center so that it didn't require so many wither roses and stuff like that. And of course, you could also just kill them purely due to fall damage if you wanted to as well. But they do have quite a lot of health, so they're kind of hard to kill. So, but anyways, I am super excited about all the new stuff that they're creating in our lovely game of Minecraft. But I do hope some of these bugs get fixed with the minecart glitch, where the pigmen inside the minecarts aren't taking entity cramming damage. And if it is a bug, I'd like to see these guys be able to get in minecarts as well. But if it is an intended feature, then that is totally fine with me to have them, to keep that as a feature, as it definitely makes farming stuff like this a lot more interesting. Also, with the new netherite stuff, I am super, super excited about it, and I hope, I'm really super excited to see what they do. In this snapshot, they did make it so that you could have beacons made of netherite blocks, but I really wish that they would give beacons with netherite blocks a buff. Maybe if you activate a beacon using a netherite ingot, as they are super intensely hard to get, as they spawn super rarely. I would appreciate it if you activated a beacon using netherite, its range would be increased. maybe double, so that you could have a super long-range beacon if you empowered it with netherite, and maybe give another buff so that if you use netherite blocks, maybe you can have it increase range as well. Or what would be really cool, as it would be a super expensive thing to get, is make it so that maybe you could stop all mob spawns within a region as some sort of end game thing, so that creative players who like playing in an end game kind of scenario could build a netherite beacon, and then they could use the darkness as part of their builds without having to worry about mob spawning. Or maybe the netherite beacon channels energy from the nether into the overworld to create mob spawning that's even higher. I don't know. I think it would be really cool to see some sort of extra buff for netherite beacons, as it's really kind of ridiculous to try to make, as each netherite block is going to be 9 netherite, and to get netherite, you got to smelt down like 4 ancient debris and get 4 gold ingots. Combine that to get 1 netherite. I mean, it's an insane process to just get just a little bit just to upgrade your gear. So if they did give it an extra buff with beacons, I would really think that's an awesome thing. As well as maybe in the future, maybe use netherite in the end to be able to make a new type of portal for another dimension. So you would take your netherite you've gotten from the nether, you defeat the ender dragon, go to the end to build your netherite portal, which could then lead to a whole nother dimension of Minecraft where we could do all sorts of new things. I don't really expect them to add that, but it would be great. But yeah, so I'm super excited for all the things that the 1.15 update has to offer. I love the fact that there are new mobs, the piglins and the hoglins, and that they have such cool spawning mechanics and stuff like that that is really exciting for a technical player like me, as it's like the piglins are scared of the soul fire, and the hoglins are scared of the warped fungi. I think that's really kind of a cool mob mechanics, not to mention all the bartering and the system that they have between the piglins and the hoglins and stuff like that. Is super, super cool. Alrighty, everybody, so that has been kind of a Redstone showcase video. I'm not going to probably be doing too much more in the 1.16 update, as there's a lot of other YouTubers currently doing all the 1.16 new stuff, and until stuff is confirmed to be in the game or not in the game and stuff like that, there's really not too much use designing too many crazy contraptions that might be subject to change in the future. But I figured I'd still have a lot of fun in the process, and I figured I'd show all of you guys, and that way if you guys have any ideas for farms and stuff like that based off of these ideas and stuff like that, you guys can start creating new farms and new things for the 1.16 update, which I'm super, super excited about.